Pete Toll, aka PT Sports 84. Just wanted to update everybody. A roster update dropped this morning, which is October the 1st, 2022. It's current um, a current roster update. This one specifically updates two things, which is number one, the NBA coaching staffs for the current teams, and then the second thing is the help defense sliders for all 30 teams. So, wanted to dive into that. Let's go into the official roster. Oddly enough, in this roster update, there wasn't any transaction movement like the Veet uh, Krejci move for Mo Harkless wasn't done, like with the Hawks and Thunder. Then the Thunder and Rockets trade wasn't done. So not sure there. Like Bruno Fernando, it was just announced late last night, so I didn't expect that one to be in. But like Bruno Fernando's on a two-way contract with Houston. So those things probably be in early next week. I would expect like Monday or Tuesday. But in this specific update, we've got. I'll go with the help defense sliders first. So for anybody that didn't know, out of the box default for 2K23, the help defense coaching sliders were set to 0. So Dazar mentioned in one of his streams that was I think maybe it was even on OS forums. I'm not sure. I can't remember. That was incorrect. That those would be corrected as soon as possible. So they were updated, and what they did is the upper echelon teams, like the top 5 defensive teams last year, all got 75s for the help defense. And then they kind of went down from there. So I'll just go through each of the teams real quick. So we've got the Sixers at 75, the Bucks at 75, Bulls at 60, Cavs at 70, 75 for the Celtics, Clippers at 75, Memphis at 65, Hawks at 60, Miami at 75. You can see, obviously, Charlotte was one of the worst defensive teams. They get a 55. That should be hopefully replicated this year with Steve Clifford back in the fold. But Will Hardy coaching the Jazz, that'll probably go down with the team tanking. But 65, this is all based on last year, so they kind of scaled it. 55 being the worst, 75 being the best. 55 for the Kings, 55 for the Knicks, 55 for the Lakers, Magic, 65 for the Mavericks, 60 for the Nets, 55 for the Nuggets, 55 for the Pacers, 65 for the Pelicans, Pistons 55, Raptors 55, Rockets 55, Spurs 65, 75 for the Suns, the Thunder 65, Timberwolves 65, Blazers 55, Warriors 75, and 55 for the Wizards. And what this does, obviously, is your help defender in the game whenever you're driving. Considering that the game is, especially the current teams are tied more to driving to the rim at will, this slider was much needed change. I would have to go manually in and change all of these, so I'm glad they updated them and used a good scale at that. So good to see that there. All right, let's get into the coaching staffs for the teams. I may have to actually move my dialogue or my camera over. Well, maybe not. It should be maybe okay right there. Okay, so the Sixers, they didn't have anybody that changed on their coaching staff once the training camp rosters released, so they didn't get anybody updated. Milwaukee, same thing. They didn't have any updates as well. They basically kept the same coaching staff outside of Darvin Ham, but they had already had these correct for 2K23. Bulls were correct already as well. All right, the Cavaliers had a change. Dan Giriot was added, and then Mike Gansey is taken out. Gansey actually is now, they basically flip-flop. So, or Mike Garrity, I'm sorry. Mike Garrity is now the Cleveland Charge head coach, and Dan Jarrett returns to coach the Cavs off the bench for them. But the real change of this update is Joe Mazzulla is in as the head coach of the Boston Celtics, and then obviously Ime Udoka is no longer. I don't believe, because they usually do not for legal purposes, they don't leave the old coaches in the coaching pool. Just making sure they don't. Nope, they do not. So Udoka is all the way out of the game. I don't know, based on, you get hearsay of what happened and what didn't happen. Until we get the full 100% accurate story, I don't know if he'll coach or not. So I'm not going to speculate. They are missing one addition to the coaching staff. Mike Moser was added, but he was added really late in the offseason. And then that's actually tied to Ime Udoka. And so I don't know if that's going to change with Udoka not being there. I know they were going after a more experienced coach or assistant. It makes too much sense not to have Frank Vogel be on the staff. Like, they need something, because like Aaron Miles is a development coach. Same thing with Sullivan and Dobbins. Like, the only one that has semi coaching experience is Stoudemire, who obviously coached in college. So that I would think they would get an upgrade of a more experienced coach. So nothing for the LA Clippers. They didn't have any changes. Wait, is LiAngelo in the game? Did I miss that? I don't see LiAngelo. Did I miss him maybe in the free agent pool? I don't see LiAngelo Ball here. Is he hidden like on the disc or something, like in the files? Oftentimes if 2K scans guys and they're not in the NBA yet, they're kind of in limbo. Like, they have their scans in the files, but they won't be added officially until they're officially on a roster. And with LiAngelo, he is basically a non-guaranteed CAM contract. I wouldn't be shocked if LiAngelo does make the team as a two-way. With LaMelo's situation and just how volatile like stuff can go, pretty quickly. And when you're not winning, and I don't expect Charlotte to be a team that makes the playoffs, honestly. But when you have a team that doesn't necessarily meet expectations, he's going to kind of win out. And then you got to think LaMelo's, top player that he had chemistry with was Miles Bridges. And obviously with Bridges, he's probably not going to play this season. Like, I don't see how there's a way you can force him to play. So, okay, that makes sense. I thought you said it like we're saying he was on the roster update. I was like, wow, that would be a shock to me if he had made the roster update. But back to the coaching staffs. No changes for the Grizzlies. They didn't have any updates with anything. Nothing for the Hawks as well. Now the Heat gain Anthony Carter. He was an assistant last year, so he's added in, as well as Eric Glass, who was with the team last year. He's added in this year, so that fills out the coaching staff. Nothing for the Hornets. They didn't really have many changes as well. Like, with Steve Clifford bringing in a whole new staff, it was pretty much like this was going to be his staff. I didn't foresee many changes or anything like that as far as the team goes. Evan Brads was added as a player development coach for the Jazz, so he's here on the team. Um, Barbosa and Lindsey Harding both get added into the for Mike Brown's coaching staff. So just so everybody knows, the most that you can have um, for coaching staff seats is 6 on the bench. You could add a 7th because obviously there's 7 spots here, but I don't believe that 7th spot shows up unless they're like somewhere like deep behind the bench or whatever. Like it doesn't show up in game. It's just kind of like an on paper coach. So 6 is the magic number for them. And some teams like the Knicks don't have 6 coaches in total. So, you can't really add them. Maybe they'll add a coach throughout the year to try to touch up those teams. But obviously, with the coaches, they had to take a liberty. You can't have the real coach faces in unless they really want to go scan them. But you have to take liberties with some of the coaches. Like that's not what Rick Brunson looks like at all. Me personally, if I was doing the coaching staffs officially for 2K, I would have used like Jalen Brunson's face to like at least semi look like his dad, like something. The Lakers had a couple coaches changed. They lost Miles Simon. He is now the head coach for the South Bay Lakers. So that gains Shyler Rimmer for a player development role, Zach Peterson for a player development role, and then JD Dubois for a player development role as well. So the Magic, they made a mistake here. Brett Brillmeyer is actually Caucasian, so that's incorrect. They got to fix that there. But Dylan Murphy was added, and then Dale Osborne last year was on the Magic coaching staff. The year before, he was on Portland, and they incorrectly had him on Portland to start the year. So they were able to fix that. They just moved him over as well. Greg St. Jean, who coached the Mavericks in the Summer League, is added there for them. I had on my feedback list another assistant added in, but they can only have 6. So these are all correct as far as the team goes. It was a female coach that they had in Christy Tolliver. But she wasn't able to be added because they had already had 6 coaches as well. Nobody for the Nets. They were already complete for their coaching staff. Nobody for the Nuggets. They were complete. For the Indiana Pacers, Calbert Shaney is on the staff this year, so he was added in with his actual Cyberface player ID from when he played. So that's good to see that there. They need to move Jaron Collins over to the big man coach because he's actually a big coach. But they added Ryan Frazier and Ryan Pannone. Pannone was the Birmingham squadron coach last year, so he gets upgraded role on the bench there for them. This one was interesting for the Pistons because 2 former players, Rashard Lewis and Keith Bogans, were added in. Actually, if it was me, I would flip-flop these guys. I would put wing whisperer for Rashard Lewis and then perimeter D coach as Keith Bogans, just because obviously their skill sets. But it's still good to see both of them there on the coaching staff. Nothing for the Toronto Raptors. They didn't have any changes there. Mahmoud Adofata gets added. So he was the Rio Grande Valley Vipers coach. He is actually wrong here. He's actually African American, so they need to update his face. They incorrectly put those as the wrong skin tones. Candice Dupree was added as a assistant for the Spurs. And then Greg Steemsma, who played in the NBA for a number of teams, the Timberwolves and some other teams, also added for the Spurs. Nothing updated for the Suns. They didn't need anything. They already had all their coaches. Grant, it's actually supposed to be um, Grant Gibbs. There was a mistake on the coach name there. Eric Maynor, former point guard for the Thunder, gets added. He should not be a big man coach there. Dave Bliss should be moved over to the big man coach, and then Maynor should be dropped into the guard guru spot. But I'll send some feedback on those. Nothing added for the Timberwolves. The Trailblazers lost Mil Palacio because he was going through some legal trouble with some fraud. So he was taken out of the roster. David Adkins, Matt Brace, and Johan Hirschu need to be or were added as well. Was Steemsma wrong? Where is he? Shoot. Let's go back. Oh yeah. Okay. I can't remember. Is it Steemsma with a EI or IE? Let's see. Let's just double check that. Yeah, it's IE. Okay. Yeah, so they spelled that wrong. So Steemsma has to be fixed. I'll put that in my notes as well. Appreciate catching that. I totally missed that. Let's see. Let's go back. Portland. I don't think Golden State had anybody. Nope. And then that is it for the coaching staff. So nothing too wild or crazy with the roster update. This was just going to be a quick video. But that's pretty much what they updated. There is one change for the coaching staffs when it comes to the classic teams. Let's go to see. Let's see. Where is it? Okay. They fixed Rick Adelman for the 90-91 Portland Trailblazers. So his cyber face, coach face, matches the 07-08 Rockets and the 01-02 Kings. So now we don't have to worry about it. Before it was a generic face. They had made a mistake on those, but excuse me. Anyway, so that's the update pretty much. So nothing added for classic teams and my NBA eras, historic draft classes, anything like that. Like I stated in a couple of the last videos, there's a lot of feedback for all three of those areas. So getting all of that in might take a little bit, but we'll see what happens. Hopefully next week, all that stuff can be added because there's a ton of stuff. As we get closer to training camp, completing and stuff like that, I think we'll see like more players added by opening night as far as the current rosters. So we'll see what happens there, but they will probably get to the player movement, like the trades and stuff that have been recent. Anybody that's in the game, they do need to add Tyrese Martin in the game as a small forward for the Hawks because he's going to make the team. The Hawks are likely to only carry 14 players, so it'll be interesting to see if they do end up with a 15th, but I don't think so. And then the other player they need to go ahead and add is Kendall Brown. That's just simple. How do I normally structure your feedback when sending out to support? What I do is I put it in categories, and I section it out into those categories, and I just put my info. Like basically, like for example, here it would be current team coaching staffs. Greg Steemsma is spelled wrong. It should be spelled this way. A couple players or a couple coaches' ethnicities are wrong. This is what it should be changed to. Same thing with transactions. Like I put the player, the team, if they were need to be added to a roster, traded, waived, whatever. With like the draft classes and stuff like that, I just put the player, what year they were drafted, and then like for example, I'll give you an example of one of my feedbacks is James Worthy for the 1982 draft. Default player model should be updated to hairstyle 1. Um, right now, he's wearing goggles. At the time, he did not wear goggles. But if you go into the draft classes and you click on James Worthy, he actually does have style 1, but you have to toggle to style 2 and back to style 1 for those goggles to go away. Another example, like Shaquille O'Neal for the 92 draft, his player ID should actually be the player ID from the 94-95 Orlando Magic, not the 01-02 Lakers, or 2000-2001 Lakers. I forgot which one. I always mess up which 01-02 I think is in the game. I always forget which one is in the game. But anyway, another feedback is like Andrei Kirilenko should be added to the 1999 draft since he's back in the game. Dirk Nowitzki's player ID should match the 02-03 Mavericks. Right now, he's at default with the old Dirk render. Stuff like that. Or, for example, like John Thomas, the center out of Minnesota that played for the Raptors and Grizzlies and some other teams, should have the same ID that's used for the 99 Raptors version on the classic teams. But in the draft classes, his cap face is a generic white person, so he's incorrect there. Just feedback like that. Like DeMar Johnson in the draft classes is like bald and dark skinned. Michael Bradley is still African American, but he was fixed in the MyNBA eras to look like himself, which he's Caucasian. Alvin Jones for the 01 draft is a 75 rated overall, even though he was a low second round pick and averaged less than 2 points a game. Stuff like that. And then a list of players like that are missing from draft classes that should be there that are already in the game. Just feedback along those lines. Like, I don't do anything special, but I just try to bring attention to anything that needs noted rather than blast them on Twitter. That's not going to get you anywhere, but pretty much blocked or they're going to ignore it. I've been doing this long enough that I can say that I have a healthy relationship with a couple of the devs. And so I don't give them inaccurate information. I always vet my information, double check it, all of that stuff before I release feedback. So just try to do that kind of stuff. And whenever anybody sends me anything, like, because I do get DMs of like, hey, did you see this? This isn't in. I don't do anything with current gen. So if you send me something for current gen, I'm nothing I can do for you, to be honest. Like, not trying to be, rude or anything like that. I just can't promise that who I send the feedback to that they're going to be able to do it because they don't work on current gen. So the other thing is not everything sent is put in. It's just simple that there's logistics to it. Like, some stuff just can't be like, but it's there as future feedback as well. So anyway, if you guys like this video, please make sure to hit that like button. Go ahead and hit it for me now, if you don't mind. Also, if you're not already subscribed to the channel, please do. I need all the subscribers I can get. Eventually hope to get monetized on the channel, so that way, for me, is just putting it back into the channel. Like, I can bring more things to the channel, whether it's upgrading audio or doing some more things with some videos and things like that. But can't really do that until I get enough subscribers and enough watch hours. So all your support matters, and really, really does help. And I hope you enjoy the content. So what I will do is I will be back hopefully early next week with another video with more roster updates. Anytime there's a roster update and there's significant things in it, like, I'm not going to make a roster update if like one player's shoe changed. Like, it has to be like a whole massive roster update to at least make content for, like, transactions, stuff like that, to make it at least 5 minutes or longer as far as the content goes. Obviously bigger, things like that. Hunter, where I can get the best Chris Webber. Go to 2K Share. If you're on PS5, go to 2K Share. I put up a Chris Webber, the real Chris Webber from the default rosters. So you could just take his DNA and copy it in. On Xbox, I'm sure somebody did the same, but I don't know. I don't know anything about current gen, so can't help you there. Um, but yes, please make sure you're subscribed to the channel. It really helps. And like I said, I'll be back early next week with some more videos, hopefully with more retro content if it's updated. If not, it'll be just current team content. And then, we'll see what happens. So thanks everybody for watching. Hope everybody has a good weekend. Also, if you're into NBA podcasts, I'm a part of a podcast that's called the Loop City Podcast. So it's LOOPCITY podcast. It's Loop City. You can look it up on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, all the major platforms. We're on YouTube. We just need more subscribers on YouTube to get the video content going even more. But we're doing NBA season previews. We did the Central Division last week. We're diving into the Southeast and the Atlantic tonight. That'll be recorded and released Wednesday of next week. So go ahead and go over to the Loop City podcast. You'll see it. It says Loop City. It's in white and then with an orange background. You'll see it on YouTube. You can, then go to the Anchor link and see all the streaming platforms as far as the audio goes. But yeah, a part of that. And, so if anybody enjoys hoops and wants to just hear guys talking about, various teams and team previews and stuff like that, definitely check it out. So appreciate everybody. Again, please hit that like button, hit the subscribe button, and I'll talk to you next week. Thanks for watching.